Topping today's lineup on the Now, an unlikely group of people are playing a growing role in battling the opioid crisis. How library staff are working to save lives. And we've heard about the lead-tainted water in Flint, Michigan, but there's a new city battling a similar problem. What residents on the East Coast had to do to get their city to clean up its water. And new technology is coming to help seniors stay in their homes longer. How everything from robots to smart pajamas could do that.
Thank you, Annie. I'm Amanda Starantino, and you're watching the Now Indy. The government has just launched an investigation into a popular SUV that's known for its rugged build quality. Consumer reporter John Matarese tells us which models are affected and why, so you don't waste your money.
The Jeep Wrangler is one of the most popular SUVs in the country, but lately a growing number of owners have been raising questions about the welding on the frames under those vehicles, and now the government has decided to investigate. Benjamin Rutter's 2019 Jeep Wrangler is spotless, but when recently cleaning the underside, he was puzzled.
Wow, these welds are nowhere near what I would have expected.
Ben said he first asked his dealer and then asked Jeep customer service if they could repair some of those welds, but he says they told him that was not under any warranty. He knows a bit about welding.
This is a rear support for the rear wheel.
And said he saw what looked like brakes in what should have been a solid weld.
You've got an inch or so of completely missed bead.
What's your concern about those welds in the future?
My biggest fear is if I were to go off-roading and do a full flex on the wheels, that frame rail could just completely pop.
Roy Carl is a Jeep customizer and restorer.
We think it's a huge safety concern.
He claims seeing questionable welding on several newer Wranglers that came into his shop.
They didn't penetrate the metal good enough.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has now launched an investigation into frame welding on 250,000 2018 and 2019 Wranglers, following 3,000 complaints. This follows a recall of some 2018 models for possible steering failure due to bad welds. A Fiat Chrysler spokesman could only tell us Jeep is cooperating with the investigation, but reminded us the Wrangler is the most awarded vehicle of 2019. But Roy Carl says it's worth having someone inspect your newer Wrangler.
We saw some welds we didn't like and sent them back, advised our clients to send them back to the dealership.
The NHTSA has no reports of frames failing on newer Wranglers, but if you see questionable welds, feel free to have a mechanic inspect it to give you peace of mind and so you don't waste your money. Working for you, I'm John Matarese for RTV6.
Let's stare at the TV for a second. This is a great time of the evening where the sun is setting, city lights come up, we get some color there. Last night's sunset, by the way, I'm sure you saw that, was spectacular, and looks like another good one in progress. Well, the few clouds that we have around are pretty harmless. We have just some mid to high level clouds streaming through now. The story is waiting on rain, and that will arrive late Thursday, and by late, it looks like after sunset Thursday, then become the real story as we get to Friday and Saturday. Let's live in the moment. It's not bad. 40 in Richmond, 41. Temperature right now out in Putnam County at Greencastle. Terre Haute, 45 degrees. Temperatures will fall into the 20s overnight with skies mostly clear to partly cloudy. The wind gradually calms down as we go through the evening. It'll generally be west 10 to 15 miles per hour with some higher gusts. Temperatures, they won't fall off too quickly. We're still at 36 at 10 o'clock. It will be in the morning hours. You get up, get started with generally a clear sky. Temperatures low to mid 20s where you would expect them for January. And from there, sunshine to the rescue. Sunshine around tomorrow. Won't be too windy. Northeast wind around 10, calming down in the afternoon. And sunshine into the afternoon will help push our high to 35. The warm-up is dramatic. I'll share that with you. Talk about what comes along with it in just a couple minutes.
American forces in the Middle East are preparing for retaliation from Iran. This comes following the U.S. strike that killed Iranian General Qassem Soleimani. Warnings have been put out for ships as well as military installations. The U.S. also said it will not grant a visa for Iran's foreign minister to travel to a UN meeting in New York this week. All right, let's start the Now News feed. Federal prosecutors say former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn should get jail time. Previously, the Justice Department recommended that he get little or no jail time at all for flying to the FBI. However, it now says that Flynn isn't taking responsibility for his actions and should serve up to 6 months behind bars. The Trump administration is proposing new rules when it comes to artificial intelligence. The regulations would be in place to make sure companies using AI are doing so safely and fairly. Critics say the plan is too vague, though, and there will be a month-long comment period before the rules go into effect. Uber is rolling out a new feature to help improve your security. The company launched a 4-digit PIN code today to help make sure you're getting into the right car. So you'll receive a code when your ride is booked, and you then tell it to the driver who enters it into the app. If everything matches, you'll get a notification saying the ride is verified. Well, we've still got 20 days before the IRS can start accepting and processing federal tax returns. Just because they don't start accepting returns until the 27th doesn't mean you can't start working on paperwork now. There's even more reason to start preparing early. First, there is a new tax form for seniors. The IRS will use a new 1040 SR tax form this year for people who are 65 and older. It's supposed to simplify how people file because there are fewer forms and schedules associated with it. There are also no limits for income on this form. Alimony is also seen differently. Whether you're the person paying or maybe receiving it, the IRS will no longer use it for tax purposes. The changes affect people who got divorced in 2019, but not before that. And if you're looking for affordable ways to get your taxes filed, it's actually easier this year. People who make $69,000 or less qualify for Free File. That's the software from the IRS. You can still use the program if you make more money, but will be limited in terms of what you can file. And more in today's lineup, an unlikely group of people are playing a growing role in battling the opioid crisis. How library staff are working to save lives. Next on the Now.
And at JanuaryIndyBoatShow.com.
Libraries are now leveraging their resources in the fight against the deadly opioid crisis. Usher Qureshi has the story.
Every day, 130 Americans die from an opioid overdose.
311 and 21 in North.
It's an epidemic that has placed libraries and their staff on the front lines. According to the CDC, from 1999 to 2017, almost 400,000 people died from an overdose involving an opioid, including prescription and illicit drugs. 3 overdoses inside the Peoria Public Library in central Illinois in less than a year forced administrators there to act.
He collapsed right in front of her at the desk. So she called the security guard, called emergency responders, and he was revived with Narcan.
80 staff members at all 5 of their branches are now trained on how to administer the life-saving overdose antidote, Narcan or naloxone.
So this role of library as an intermediary, intervener, supporter is not new. But I think this crisis is new, and we have to help the people who are coming in our doors.
The nonprofit Online Computer Library Center, or OCLC, released a report this past fall detailing some of the ways libraries are playing a larger part in battling the national opioid crisis. At the top of that list, education.
How can we translate that into better services and support for people, for individuals who may be addicted, or for their families and their communities?
Many libraries are stocking books like Sam Quinones' Dreamland, the true tale of America's opiate epidemic.
I had no idea when I read it just about the size of the problem, and that people can work a job and be very addicted to a substance.
With the threat from opioids in the form of pills, heroin, and fentanyl not going away, many libraries are helping to search for answers and provide them to those who need them most.
There's not one right answer to this. It is not going to be libraries alone. It is not going to be any of these other agencies by themselves. This issue is too big.
Reporting from Peoria, Illinois, I'm Usher Qureshi.
Usher, thank you. Well, still ahead in our lineup, we've heard about the lead-tainted water in Flint, Michigan, how a new city is battling a similar problem.
Keller and Keller.
Maps have changed over the years, and so has the way we use them. What used to be a final product is now an ever-changing data set. Chloe Nordquist found that has put map making in the hands of everyone.
The world
world is divided into two types of people, those who love maps and those who can't understand why other people love maps.
Christopher Lane has been selling antique maps for almost 4 decades.
When you get an antique map and you actually look at it, it like opens up the world in a way that today's maps don't. And they show the state of knowledge, or belief at least at the time. Maps today that most people interact with are very much linear. You're going somewhere and your map shows you your route as you go.
This shift has impacted 2 particular industries: cartography, the science of drawing maps, and GIS, or Geographic Information Systems.
We thought of maps as documents, as a finished product.
Dr. Barbara Buttonfield is a former president of the American Cartographic Association.
Now what we think of is a map as an information refinery.
A refinery with a growing value. One study shows the value of the global GIS market will reach almost $20 billion by 2024.
Anybody can make a map, anybody can use it, and anybody can add information to it or publish it on the internet.
Put that in the hands of the layman.
Tom Neer works in geomapping.
Today, we do everything digitally. Well, the industry hasn't actually changed that much. It's the tools that we use, moving from specialized programs to putting them into web applications that anybody can use.
These tools have allowed mapping to become more interactive.
Google is tracking you as you drive to and from work and can actually tell you, based on all of the other data that they're collecting, where traffic is bound up. That was impossible 20 years ago.
As of 2015, 90% of adult smartphone users use their phone to get directions or other information relating to their location.
I would encourage people to not be fearful of it, to embrace it.
However, as technology advances, Christopher believes people can still find value in traditional maps.
I think these bigger maps just open up the world in a way that people are losing today.
As a traditional cartographer, if there was one downside, it's the art seems to get lost.
I'm Chloe Nordquist reporting.
Chloe, thank you. Well, if you're shopping for a home, you may have fewer houses to pick from. A report by Move.com shows that 2020 has begun with the lowest housing inventory in 2 years. Inventory shrunk by 12% in December. Houses are also selling quicker. The report shows homes are sold in 79 days typically.
Ken Jennings, Brad Rutter, and James Holzhauser, who are the highest money winners in Jeopardy history? These legends of the long-running game show are also the contestants on Jeopardy, the greatest of all time. That kicks off tonight right here on our TV6. The 3 fan favorites will compete in a series of matches starting tonight. The first to win 3 will win $1 million and the title of Jeopardy, the greatest of all time. Good morning, Indiana anchor Lauren Casey talked to all 3 men about what we will see in their preparations for this epic contest.
I'm 15 years older than I was when I started playing Jeopardy, and you know, the recall's starting to go a little bit. So I need rehearsal, I need practice, and I'm intimidated by younger players like James. So I watched a lot of tape of him to see, you know, what his strategies were and you know, what I could pick up about his style of play that I could use.
You guys are the best of the best, so I assume the questions this time around, they're a little bit harder than what you guys were used to when you were on the show, correct?
I think this the writers used this as an excuse to show off a little bit. So, you know, without spoiling anything, I can remember both of you guys coming up with some responses that I was like, holy crap, how did they know that? So, you know, hopefully the audience at home will have that same experience.
Alex Trebek will, of course, be the host. It all starts tonight at 8 here on RTV6 and will continue each night at 8, at least through Thursday. If a 4th game is needed, that will be Friday, and if necessary, games will be played next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday until someone wins 3.
We need overtime.
It sounds like we might need it.
Welcome to
Sounds
ABC with Jeopardy. I love to play along, and if you combine, like, throughout the week, you know, I might get 10 right.
I'll keep track. I'll keep score for you, Kevin.
All right, thank you, generously. All right, this is cool. Columbus clouds today. They look like flying saucers. If you want to look something up, Google lenticular clouds. And Bill Kozar sent this in. Typically, you find those around mountains, but that circular shape there, kind of perpendicular to the winds. And That was cool to see. Thanks for sending that in, Bill. Dry tomorrow. We're in for more sunshine. It will be colder tomorrow. Temperatures will struggle to get above freezing, especially north of Indy, otherwise about 35 in the metro area. Then we wait. We'd like to wait a lot longer until the ground was really dried out, but that won't be the case. Rain will return on already soft soil. That sets up heavy rain potential and the flooding threat as we get toward the weekend. Temperatures all in the low 40s, well above average. 35 is our average high temperature now, which is the coldest average high temperature that we see. This is January after all. Temperatures through the evening hours down to the mid 30s by 11. We'll still have 10 degrees to go from there in the metro area. This is where we'll land tomorrow morning. Sunshine goes to work. The wind will be rather light through the day tomorrow. Temperature by noon at 28. 35 the afternoon high with lots of sunshine just like today. We'll start to fall off a bit as we get to tomorrow night. Temperatures around the region tomorrow. Coolest to the north, a little warmer to the south. It will be a quick turnaround Thursday. Notice what happens noon 45, afternoon temperature 51. There'll be a chance of showers late afternoon, but they're most likely late Thursday night. That's the beginning of a trend that I'll share in the 4-day forecast.
We know about the lead-tainted water in Flint, Michigan, but there's a new city battling a similar problem. Alicia Nieves is looking into what people on the East Coast had to do to get their city to clean up its water.
About 5 years ago in Flint, Michigan, almost 100,000 people in the Great Lakes state learned they were exposed to elevated levels of lead in their water.
A bottle of water for 2 apples.
Today in Newark, New Jersey,
you have to rinse through.
More than 200,000 residents like Yvette Jordan are dealing with a similar water crisis.
You followed what was happening in Flint, Michigan. Did at any point you think that that could potentially happen here in Newark, New Jersey to you?
I never thought that, ever. I just thought it was something horrible because of a series of incidents in their government, and it would never affect here.
In 2018, tests of Newark's water revealed lead levels upwards of 4 times the EPA's allowable limit. And since, residents like Jordan have had to use bottled water for almost every act that involves ingesting or possibly ingesting water.
You get up, you brush your teeth. Oops, I need bottled water so I can brush my teeth. I shower, okay, I shower, I use regular water. Supposedly, I've got to flush the water.
The issue is more than annoying to deal with. It's dangerous. Continued consumption of water with elevated levels of lead could lead to serious and irreversible health repercussions.
Simply put, water is life, and safe water really is a human right.
After Yvette Jordan and others sued, Newark came up with a plan to rip up city streets and replace all 18,000 lead lines, lines that are more than 100 years old. But the threat of lead in drinking water is bigger than Newark and Flint. Across the country, there's an estimated 6 million lead service lines in similarly aging water systems.
So what you see here in Newark may happen in your own city, in your own town.
I'm Alicia Nieves.
Thank you, Alicia. Checking in on the Now News feed, bad news for Pier 1 Imports. The company is set to close half of its locations. There are also reports it could soon file for bankruptcy. Shares for the company have fallen from $300 in 2015 to $5 today. A new study shows training for your first marathon could reverse aging. Researchers found within 6 months, those runners had healthier hearts. Specifically, they'd reversed artery hardening, which comes with age, and that can lead to conditions like kidney disease and dementia. Well, if you want to go to the Super Bowl, donating blood may be your ticket. The Red Cross has teamed up with the NFL to offer a full Super Bowl experience. All you have to do to enter for a chance to win is to donate blood through the 19th. And finally, in our lineup, new technology is coming to help seniors stay in their homes longer. How everything from robots to smart pajamas could do that.